Hey, welcome to Module 1. And before we get started on, the work, I want to tell you a little bit of a backstory of what brought you here, okay? And the reason you are here right now, listening to me on this video and this platform, is because at some point in our journey, I said something that captured your heart and convinced your mind, okay? And that is what this whole uh, empathic inception is about, okay? Teaching you how to do exactly that, okay? And there is going to be a module coming up, 2 or 3 modules away, where we're going to talk about capturing the heart and convincing the mind. But before we can do that, we have to understand our audience at a level that you probably haven't taken the time to do before. Okay. What we need to do is we have to understand their web, their wants, their emotions, and beliefs. Okay. Because what we have to keep in mind is that the audience that we're talking to isn't a made up persona. Okay. It's not something that we create out of thin air. These are real live people with real emotions, with real fears, with real desires. Okay. And if we don't speak to them, then we're just going to get lost in the noise and we're not going to be heard. They're not going to engage with us. And ultimately, we're not going to make any sales. So what we don't want to do is have like a checkbox thing where we've got a 25-year-old female yoga instructor who lives in Austin, Texas, okay? Because that might be who she is physically, but that's not who she is mentally and emotionally. And that's what we need to know, okay? That's what we need to understand if we're going to write scroll stopping scripts. That's what we need to know if we're going to create offers that they actually want. That's what we're going to need to know if we're going to build a funnel that almost feels like a favor to them instead of a pitch. Okay. And that's why we're not just going to stop at those, demographics of a 25-year-old female living in Austin. Okay. We're going to use ChatGPT along with Eugene Schwartz and Breakthrough Advertising to dive into 11 specific insight categories. Okay. Because if we just do like surface level targeting, then we're just going to get surface level results. Now, I mentioned Eugene Schwartz and Breakthrough Advertising, and what he talks about in that book are 5 levels of problem awareness. And he does it as a pyramid, okay? And at the bottom of the pyramid, you've got your unaware audience. These are people who have a problem, but they haven't really consciously accepted that a problem exists. So they're not looking for a solution. We can sell to these people, but it's going to be a lot of work because before we can sell to them, we have to convince them that they actually even have a problem, okay? Then at the other end, at the top of the pyramid, we have the most aware. I'll just run through the 5 levels really quick. So you've got your, as it ascends up the pyramid. So you've got your unaware, you've got your problem aware, you've got your solution aware, you've got your product aware, and then you've got your most aware. And so as I was going to say, at the top of the pyramid, those are the guys who have been, that's your audience who have been following you for weeks, months, years, right? And all they're doing is they're waiting for you to have a sale. All they're waiting is for you to release your next book, okay? And as soon as you have a sale or release your next whatever, they're in. They're all in. You're 100% in because they know who you are. They know the value you bring. And the one brand that does that better than pretty much anybody is Apple, right? Like when they release the next iPhone generation, they don't even have to say what the features are. They just say, hey, we're releasing the iPhone R2D2 in 2 weeks, and 1 week from now, the lineup's going to start forming at the door for people to get it because that's how aware that audience is. And what we're going to do at this level, though, is we're going to go more in the middle of the pyramid. Okay, we're going to talk to the problem-aware folks. Okay, so these are the people who know they have a problem. Okay, and they might not be fully aware of the solutions, but they're in a great position because what they want is somebody who understands where they're coming from, right? And so that's why the problem aware is so good because we can reach out to them where they are. We can speak to their pain points. And once they are thinking, wow, this guy knows exactly what I'm going through, if he can understand that, then his solution is probably going to make sense as well. Okay. And so that's what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be using my ChatGPT prompts. And that'll be in a separate video. I'll walk you exactly through how to do it. Okay. And just to break down what that is. Okay. We're going to have 3 levels. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to break down those 11 demographics, psychographics, okay? And that's just going to be a really long list that as you scroll through that list, you're going to get a lot of really good insights. But the problem with that list is that you're not going to really emotionally resonate with it, okay? You're going to see it, you're going to understand it, but you're not going to emotionally resonate with it. And that's why we're going to use those, all those findings to get ChatGPT to write a diary entry. And this is really cool because it's just going to take all of that data and turn it into a story. Okay. And we all learn better when we're reading or watching or listening to a story. Okay. And so that story is what you're going to take, and you're going to be, once you read through that, 2 or 3 or 4 times, you're going to really understand who your audience is. And so anytime you say anything, you're going to understand, what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, what they want to hear. Okay. It's just going to make it so much easier for you to communicate with them. And then the third part of the GPT that I've created for you, it's just basically a 1 paragraph summary of everything. And so in the future, if you're doing anything with AI and you just need a concise summary of who your ideal buyer is, you can just plug that in. But what I really urge you to do is create a document, a fresh document in a Google Drive, or however you track or compile stuff, because I call it my marketing lifeblood content. Okay. And what we're going to be doing with that is we're going to upload everything that we go through in this module. Okay. As you discover things in this module, we're going to really dive deep into your ideal buyer. You're going to put that in first. Okay. When you come up with your hooks, you're going to put that in. When you come up with your your buyer's false limiting beliefs, you're going to plug those in, right? When you come up with your offer and everything that is part of your offer, you're going to plug that in. Okay. Because when you have that living, breathing document, that's something that you'll be able to load into a GPT later, and that'll just give that AI all the information it needs to create a response for whatever prompt that you create for it. All right, so that is what we're going to do in this module. Is we are actually going to do it. I'm going to give you the ChatGPT prompts. They're in the thing below, and there's also another video below where we'll do a screen share, and I'll show you exactly how you copy from here, plug it into there, and then copy from there and put it into there. Make sense? And when we get there. All right, guys, thanks for watching. And this is super critical. Actually do this. Don't move on to module 2. That's not going to help you. You can't do anything else in this Empathic Inception course until you do this step. Okay. If you don't understand your audience at this deep a level, then you're not going to be able to create the messaging that's going to resonate with them. Okay, so do this first, get it done, read the diary, and then move on to module 2. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next explainer video where we go through the ChatGPT implementation. All right, see you there.